little bit wobbly there. Hey, hi. So today we're going to be doing a easy peasy, quick crock pot meal. I'm doing a pork butt, maybe shoulder. I'm not sure what the difference is. They might have brought that up before. Anyway, I bought a whole one a while back and cut it in half, and it's been in the freezer. And it's a nice chilly Saturday. I thought it would be a good day for that. Um, I'm starting with these are cooking onions. I very, very rarely um, use cooking onions. I just get sweet onions. Well, you know what? I'll use them. So anyway, because I don't have any sweet onions, just slicing them in slices. They don't even need to be thick. This is going to be in there for a very long time. Most of it will just melt into the food. I am going to use, instead of garlic, though, I'm using garlic powder. I will be putting in a bottle of beer. You don't have to. You could use water. You could use stock. I'm not sure about wine or like whiskey or anything like that, how that might look. I'll do a little research and I'll report back when I come back to show you the finished product because I never really thought about that. So anyway, as far as vegetables go, today I'm only going to use an onion. Later I may put, because this is going to be on low all day. It's only 10:30. Oh no, it's 11 o'clock almost. All right, it's going to be on. It's a Saturday. I'm going to leave it on all day. So I've got my crock here all ready to go. I haven't used it in a while, probably because in the summer, so I had to give it a little scrubby scrub. I'll just do everything inside the crock. Should I? Can you see that? No, maybe not. Perhaps I'll do it on here, but I want to put the onions on top. And we discussed that in our last video. I like to put onions on top of things. And because I don't know, I feel like the flavor, just even if it just gets to the crust, it's something you can taste in there. That could just be my imagination, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. I like putting them on top though. So I'm going to put them to transfer the onions over to the smaller cutting board just so I can get them out of the way. And I couldn't be doing it any more tediously, could I? Well, I suppose I could, but that was pretty bad. I'm taking an easy peasy quick meal and making it into a onion fest. This is a lot of onions. Yeah, it is. It won't be so bad. It shouldn't be too bad. All right, just put these two, stack them in the crock pot. All right, so this is just a half of a whole pork loin. Nope, I'm going to say pork loin a lot. I mean butt. I don't know the difference between butt and shoulder. I should make notes of this so that I can look it all up and let you know later. I used to just throw the whole thing in the crock pot and then freeze what was cooked. But this last time I thought, I'm sort of then pigeonholing myself into having it that way because it's already cooked. So why don't I cut it in half? And then if I wanted to put it in the oven or I don't know if there's, I don't know a lot to do with this other than what I'm doing now. But I've done it on top of the stove in a Dutch oven. I've done it in the stove in a Dutch oven. And I will put the fat side will go upside down when I put it in there. And I've got some salt here. This time I'm going to use salt. I know I also commented in the last video I need to start reaching for the herbamare more, but this can handle the in the cooking process and the type of meat, salt will. It won't be too salty. Watch, I'll be back here tonight saying, it's a little salty for me. I'll just pat it down. So all sides. I'm going to salt all sides. It's something you could also do that I don't with pork. If I would have thought about it sooner, I might have tried today, is sear it. I don't know, maybe you don't do that with pork. I know with like a chuck roast or any kind of a beef roast that you're going to be cooking for a long time, it's good to sear it. And I just within the last few years started doing it. I don't know that it makes a huge difference or how it makes a difference. I'm sure it does. Otherwise, chefs wouldn't do it. But I just like the fond it makes for the juice, for the jus, and the potential gravy, and the whole. What is the word for that? Like the preparation, doing it, just the whole doing it part is enjoyable to me. There's a term for that I suddenly can't think of. Okay, get it all salted. You can, if you're really rushing, I just wanted to be clear what I'm doing here for visible reasons. Put it in there, salt it up, salt the bottom, roll it around in it, pepper it. You can do it. It's not something that has to be precious. It just has to be. You know, as a matter of fact, I'll finish this up that way to show you. You get the idea of salting it on all sides. Let me plop it in the crock pot. And then at the end, we'll pour the beer over it, but you'll see that part. Any kind of beer is good as long as it's not flavored, like an ale or I guess a stout, not a chocolate stout. I don't think that would be good. I know they come in flavors. Just an ale or a Pilsner, maybe something a little browner or redder or amber. This is a clear, this is a Pilsner, but that'll be fine too. This is the last bottle we have in the fridge, so I'll use it up. Okay, bring this over now. We've salted it. Now we're going to pepper it. I'm not going to go with my usual thing. I remembered and I ground up some pepper. And then just turn it around. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Ooh, be careful not to sprinkle too much like I just did there. Although I do say I like a lot of pepper. Not everybody does. And there is a point where you can have too much and it's a little too peppery. I've reached that point before. And let's see. Get the end cap here. Oh, yep, see, that was too much too. All right then. Pepperhead. And I'm just going to go with garlic powder because this is the kind of thing where I don't think garlic on the meat is better. And this time, you know what? I'm just going to do this. And then, can you see in there? I hope you can. I'm just going to put it on the bottom and roll this in it. Another option if you're really rushing for time. There we go. Nice. Fat cap on the bottom. Where to put everything down? I don't know why. Onions. This looks so small because I'm so used to having a whole one in there. This is a lot of onions. I'm just going to put them all in there. You don't need this many. I think this might be too much in the long run, but we'll find out, won't we? Yes, we will. And a bottle of beer. And there's something... Coffee, which I drink only in the morning, does not have the same effect on me. All right, pour the beer over it. Oh, there you are. Grab the lid. And I'm going to put it in the crock pot on... I'm going to start on low because now it is officially 11 o'clock. And I will check back in the middle of the day to let you know how I've done and what I've done. And I'm thinking about adding some vegetables, like maybe some carrots and potatoes. And I bought a nice little squash yesterday. Squash, right word? Yeah, butter squash, buttercup, butternut. Anyway, it's a little one. And I might just cut that in half and throw it in there. I was thinking about it. I've never done that before, so we'll see. Anyway, well salt and peppered. Half a pork loin. There is a bone in this one too. Far too many onions. And if this was sweet onions, I'm not technically concerned, but I'm like, because it's cooking onions. I don't know how they're going to taste when they're well cooked. But if it was sweet onions, I wouldn't even be minutely concerned. I'd be like, ooh, onions. Salt, pepper, garlic powder, bottle of beer. You could just use stock. You could just use water. Or I'll find out about the wine and like rum or bourbon, not rum, and let you know later. And onions. On high, on low, because it's early. And we'll check back. Hey, how's it going? So it's been, what time is it? Ooh, it's been almost 5 hours. It's 3:50. And we ended up going to the grocery store, the co-op, and bought some carry-out food that is now in the oven reheating. So we aren't going to be dying. We were too hungry to wait for this. So we're calling it late lunch, which means this will either go into the refrigerator until tomorrow for dinner, most likely, or we won't eat it till much later. So I'm going to check it out. It's been on low, and I just want to see how done this is. Which, oh, by the way, when I was reviewing the first video, just to, you know what, I'll be right back. Realized I forgot to put my microphone on. When I was watching over uh, the first tape, the first recording that I just did of preparing it, I kept saying put the fat cap down, and I was glad I checked it right away. The video, I usually check it before I continue to make sure everything went well. The fat cap goes up this way, it melts into the meat, helping for a moisture meat. And yeah, it's not even kind of done yet. So we have, if it's in there for another, I looked it up, and it was kind of, there were three different, I don't want to say all over the board, but there were three different recommendations. On low, it was like 8 to 12 hours depending, and on high it was 4 to 7 or 8, I think. And it was the two different places. Like, I'm making the range from the three different things I looked at in hours. So this is on low. It's been 5 hours. What I did do was I got some vegetables to put in. I know I talked about the potatoes, maybe some carrots, and I bought beautiful garnet yams at the co-op. So I'm going to put one in whole. I pushed this to one side, and I'm going to put the carrots in there. I picked the biggest carrots we had in the bag, and I just cut the tops and bottoms off. I'm going to put those in. And I'm going to put in a yam, a large potato for the man, and this is the little I will say butternut squash. It's not the big, it's different from the big ones. It's something different, like buttercup maybe. I just cut the top off. I left the skins on everything, the potatoes, the carrots. I don't mind skins. This you won't be able to eat, but I can scoop it out. I did cut it in half and cut the seeds. Scoop out the seeds. I'm going to save those for the put it outside for the crits. So that's all in there now around the pork. And this will take a long time, especially with all the added stuff. I'm going to leave it on low, however, so I put all this in there. I scraped the onions off the top. I don't know why. I think I was just looking to poke my forks in there, so I did that. That's fine. I'm just going to leave that now. And I did find out a few things. Hang on, let me get my list. I hung it on the cabinet door where I usually film. Okay, for the crock pot, they do not recommend using alcohol because the alcohol doesn't cook off. So I've been doing beer in the crock pot. I've done it before. I've been doing it for a long time. It's okay, but it's just beer. And we like beer, so it is, maybe that's why I like it so much. It's a beerier taste. For wine, if you do this in a thing that you can put in the oven, which, by the way, you can put a crock pot in the oven, just not the lid, because it's plastic. You'll have to like cover it with foil, but it's just a crock. So not with the elements, the heating elements, just the one that I had on the counter earlier, the crock part, or a Dutch oven, or you can put it in anything that's oven safe. If you cook it in the oven, or you cook it on top of the stove over low and slow like you do, I think that's how you cook, what is that called when you do it on top of the stove in a big pan pot with a lid? Pot roast? No. Anyway, if you do it on the stove or in the oven, alcohol will cook off. This is never hot enough at any given point in time because it's low and slow with this. So, but white wine, richer, fuller bodied white wine, or red wine, a juicy fruit forward red wine. I don't know enough about wines to make any recommendations, but I can recommend with full confidence from our own experiences going to any of the premier groups, liquor store. The man and I, when we go, we usually will go to the one on Transit across from I don't know, I think it's called Eastgate Plaza, but on Transit. They always have very knowledgeable staff, so you can go and ask them, and they would even just ask what they might recommend to put in a pork roast. They'll always have somebody there who has the answers. And this one I thought sounded really good. I might try it the next time. Apple juice. Thought apple juice with onions and maybe Brussels sprouts or something. That sounds very good. And they said also stout or whiskey. And also that it is good to brown it first. It maximizes the flavor. So I won't ever do that for this. But if I do it in the oven, I don't think I've ever really done this on the stovetop. I've done it with beef roast, but not this, but you can. If I do it in the oven, I'll brown it first, but not in the crock pot. I never have. Anyway, those are the answers to all the things that I speculated on in the earlier in this preparation. Rich or fuller bodied white wine, a juicy fruit forward red wine, stout or whiskey. Don't use alcohol on the crock pot, although, again, we are beer drinkers. We enjoy beer. So I've done this with beer before and I liked it just fine. But it does have alcohol. So if you're feeding children or people who they just know. And the apple juice, can't wait to try that. And you should brown it first. And I'll be back later tomorrow. I'll probably film when I take it off and let you know what time it is and if we're going to eat it today or we're going to eat it tomorrow. And then I'll let you know how it was after we eat it. All right, so it's done. It is 9 o'clock at night, so it's been 10 hours. I did turn it up to high at 6:20. I wrote that down, so I guess we could say 6:30 because it seemed like it was taking a very long time, and I didn't want to just have to stay up till 11 o'clock to get it out and put it away. However, I am going to shred it up tonight because the man was requesting a little snacky snack of some before bed. Well, not that we're going to bed now. An evening snacky snack. I will put the vegetables, which are very soft and quite nice, in a separate dish, which I should have had out and ready. Everything's going to go back in the oven. This will be tomorrow's dinner. So everything's going to go back in the oven tomorrow. Sans the snacky snacks for tonight, but this is plenty. Like I was saying earlier, this is why I stopped making a whole butt, because that was just way too much left over. And this is actually something that I don't love. I don't dislike it by any means, but I probably eat it once a year, maybe twice. And when you'll see when I shred it up, that's the only way I know how to cook this. I don't know that it's the kind of meat that you can ever make to do like slices or sandwiches like that. It's just a shredded meat. I'm going to have to look that up too. I'll get back to you on that. I usually, or you can, and frequently will have it like sandwich style with barbecue sauce. I don't want to call it barbecue though, because that is a whole different beast with the way it's cooked and everything. But I do call it pulled pork. I don't know if that's official or if that could be. You know what? I put the other, I don't even know how I'm going to get it out of here. It's very well done all of a sudden. Not all of a sudden. It's been cooking for 10 hours. But it seems like when you do something in there and you're testing it and it still feels tough and tight, and then you're testing it 2 hours later, and then all of a sudden, bam, it's done. So I will put this once I shred it back into the crock. And I don't know how I'll reheat all this stuff tomorrow. Perhaps in the oven. If I put it back in the crock, I might put it in the mechanism. But I'm going to leave the onions in here. You know what? Maybe I won't put it back in there. Maybe I'll separate this out and try to make this into a gravy for tomorrow. I don't know. Either way, this is hot, so I'm going to get it out of the way and shred that. Let you see how easy it is to do, and let the man get himself a sandwich. And I just put this in a dish. It's sweet potato, some carrots, and the little squash. I'll cover that in foil and put it in the fridge. I'm going to want to get this fat off. That serves no purpose. There's a way, not in this case, and cut it off and make cracklings. I don't even know how that goes. Oh, deep fried, baked, something. In this case, it's just trash. Unless you have a dog. I wonder if a dog or a cat would enjoy that if they could eat it. Hey Google, is it safe to feed your dog the fat from a pork butt roast?
On the website Quora.com, they say, table scraps often contain meat fat that a human didn't eat as well as bones. Both are dangerous for dogs. Fat trimmed from meat, both cooked and uncooked, may cause pancreatitis in dogs.
All right then, that's a no. Do not feed it to your dog. It is pretty easy to get off. Awkward, especially since I'm trying to do it in a way that you can see. Just scrape it off. It'll come right off. You can make sure you peel back any of the meat that comes off with it, or just let it go. It's a lot of meat. I'm just that person who's like cutting open bottles at the end of the squeeze before just to get the last 3 squeezes out, and didn't live through. Anyway, that's a babble that I'll probably edit out. All right, so I just peeled off the fat and throw that out. Here's the bone. Everything's falling off, as you see. Now I just have a fork. You can use regular table forks. These are out and they're dirty. And you shred it on up. Smells delicious. I'm sure it will be delicious. That's all shredded. It'll make a great sandwich. It'll make just a little pile on a plate. It'll be good with mashed potatoes and some gravy. You could use that stock, thicken it up to make a gravy. It's actually good. It's just, yeah, it's easy and good. And this video seems to have made it seem like much more convoluted than it had to be, because I was experimenting with the different vegetables and I wanted to see how long it took to cook on low, because I'm impatient. So even when I'm doing the slow cooker and it's going to take all day, I always tend to put it on high. So I started at 11 on low. At 3:30, I think it was 4 o'clock, it will say in the back, further a little back in the video, when I added the vegetables, it had been 5 hours, I believe. And I left it on low for another hour and a half, and then I turned it to high, and it's now 9. So it was total 10 hours, mostly on high. Let's say 2/3 low, 1/3 high, rather, not mostly on high. And I don't know, let me see how this is seasoned. You could salt and pepper it. Now you can do whatever you want with it now, but we did season it before we put it in, so that would be fine. You could even just make a sandwich and pour a little barbecue sauce over it. You don't have to sauce the whole thing. That's another thing. I don't think we ever do that. We've never just put sauce on everything. We would just put a barbecue sauce out for mixing in. And that's it. Hopefully tomorrow it will be mangiato. It was actually very delicious. I think cooking it at a lower temperature for a longer time might have been key to the very delicious slow roasted flavor, or using the cooking onions. Either way, I will do it this way again because I enjoyed it more than any of the others that I've made in the past.